What is going on, guys? My name is Drakesy and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Today's video is going to be episode 2 of the kind of series that I've started on the channel, which is Club Swap. So if you don't know what it is, it's basically when we get one player from one team, another player from another team, and we swap the players into the different teams. So last episode, episode 1, we actually swapped Ronaldo and Messi to the opposite clubs. So Ronaldo went to Barcelona, Messi went to Real Madrid. We simmed a season and we saw how the two players got on. Today we've actually had a recommendation and a comment from the last episode. I'll show that on screen now, as you can see, and you've probably seen it in the title and the thumbnail of the video that it is actually going to be Aubameyang from Dortmund and Lewandowski from Bayern Munich going to be swapping teams. Aubameyang to Dortmund, Aubameyang to Bayern Munich, and then Lewandowski to Dortmund. So we're going to see how they get on. It's going to be quite interesting because Lewandowski will be going back to his old club and Aubameyang to the team that seemed to steal all of Dortmund's players these days. So it could potentially happen in real life, but we're just going to see if it did happen, what would actually happen. So we're going to be playing as a third team. So as you can see on your screens now, we are actually going to be playing as Darmstadt. Now the reason why we do this is I don't want to interrupt either two teams because the computer then can do transfers and also trade if it wants to. So if that makes any sense, if let's just say Dortmund want to buy a better goalkeeper, then if we are playing as Dortmund and we're simulating it all, then Dortmund won't buy because we haven't bought, if that makes sense. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be playing as a third team, a team that's not really going to interrupt the season. We're going to play as Darmstadt. So that means that the two big dogs, Bayern and Dortmund, can get any transfers and do what they want, computer versus computer, and we don't interrupt. So we're going to get on with it, we're going to sim half of the season and we're going to see where the players sit at that point. So just to show you before we do start simming, just so you guys are certain and we can be sure that we have definitely done correctly in the player swaps, as we can see, Borussia Dortmund's newest signing, Robert Lewandowski, has joined the club, a 90 rated striker. He is now 27 years old. He's younger than I thought. I did think he was about 29 in real life, so he's actually a lot younger than I thought. So anyway, Lewandowski back to Dortmund, and then on the other side of things, we're going to go ahead and check Bayern Munich. And then as we can see at Bayern Munich, their newest signing, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and as we can see, he's also 27 years old, 3 ratings lower, starting off at 87, but two completely different strikers. A very, very pacey kind of target man, which is Aubameyang, and then kind of the same but less pace, more physical and more kind of like, I don't know what kind of striker that you would say Lewandowski is, but two completely different strikers. I'm sure we can agree on that. So as we can see, this is the league table as it stands at the beginning of the season. Obviously, no points have been started because no games have been played. And I'm just letting you know that as we can see, in the Bundesliga, there are 18 different teams. So times 18 by 2, you get 36. Then take off 2 games because obviously we can't play ourselves. So yeah, take that off. So we're going to skip into... well, in total there are 34 games, so we're going to skip 17 games into the season to get halfway, and then we're going to skip the last 17 to see where we stand at the end. So I hope I've done my maths right, I hope that makes sense, and yeah, without any more talking, we're going to get into the season and skip 17 games. So as we can see, the simulation has started. We're going to be skipping through the transfer window. So at the half point, what we do check is we do check the transfers that have gone through, how the teams are doing in the league, the top goal scorer, the top assister, and then also we check the Champions League as well, seeing where the teams are up to in that as well. So as we can see, like I said, we're going to skip through. I'm going to speed this bit up now just so we get through the seasons quicker, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. So as we can see, that is the season skip through. I didn't mean to skip through then that, but as we can see, yeah. So we've skipped through 17 games, I believe now, so we should be exactly halfway into the season. So I'm going to go and check it now. I have not seen anything, so let's have a look. So as we can see, okay, so it's not looking good for us. As you can see, we're sitting in 17th position. But that's not what we want to be looking at. We want to be looking at Dortmund and Bayern Munich. So let's double check. Oh, so it's kind of interesting. Mönchengladbach are actually at the top of the table, along with Hertha Berlin, two teams that you wouldn't expect to be the top, but as we can see, pretty much every single team that we need to know has played around 16 or 17 games. But Dortmund sitting in 5th place and Bayern sitting in 3rd. That's kind of interesting. I think they both won around about the same games. Yes, they have. They both won 8 games. Bayern Munich have drawn 7 games. That's a lot of games. They've only lost 2, to be fair to them, and Dortmund have lost 5. So it's kind of looking how we expected it to look. Bayern have a very strong team. Dortmund not so much, but I did not expect Hertha Berlin and Mönchengladbach to be top. But then again, saying that, Bayern could definitely still win the league. Then again, so could Dortmund. Dortmund aren't that far off either. So now we're going to go and check the top goal scorers and then the top assist makers to see if any of the 2 players have managed to get up there as well. So as we come to the top goal scorers, as we can see, sitting in first position is a guy called Bittencourt. I've never even heard of him. He plays for Köln, or Köln FC, I'm not too sure how you say the name of that team. But as we can see, he's scored 11 goals so far this season. So he's having a fantastic season. He is on fire. Coming in at 2nd position, we actually have Braithwaite for Hamburg. And then on top of that, the guy who's kind of related to the simulation that we're doing is Borussia Dortmund's Andre Schürrle with 7 goals. So I'm not too sure whether Lewandowski's been helping him with the goals. So maybe Lewandowski's up there on the assist chart. We will check that in a minute. Sitting in 4th position is Bayern Munich's Robben. So the same again, maybe Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has been helping Robben with the goals. Then we've got Marco Reus in 8th position. But the main question is, do we have any of our players up there that we need to be seeing? Coleman, Dembele up there as well. Who's that? So Lewandowski has actually made it onto the charts. He's sitting in 24th position, not the best, with 4 goals. But he is on the list, so he's still scoring goals. So he's kind of doing better than Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang at the moment. Now we come to the assist chart, and as we can see, looking through quickly to see if any of the top players, the 2 players that we're looking for, Lewandowski and Aubameyang, have made it. Sitting in 2nd position is Marco Reus from Borussia Dortmund. So they're definitely getting the goals and assists, but they need to get higher up the table as a team. Then we go down all the way to 12th position and we can see Muller. So Muller's getting quite a few assists, but sadly none of them seem to be going to the main man up top for them, hopefully, which is meant to be Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. We're going to skip down and see if any more assists from either team. Vidal up there as well. And that's it. So neither players managed to get onto the top assist creators for the Bundesliga. So it's kind of interesting stuff. I'm not too sure what's going on, but yeah, we can go and check the Champions League and then we're going to check the players' individual stats after that. So as we can see in the Champions League, both teams, Dortmund and Bayern Munich, have managed to get down to the last 16. And as we can see, we've got Bayern Munich playing Benfica, a team that they should be winning. And then we've got Dortmund playing Sevilla, which is also quite an interesting match. So we'll see how that gets on. It's going to be an interesting outcome whatever happens, but it's good to know that both teams have managed to get to the last 16 and out of their groups. So as we can see in the league so far, this is in the Bundesliga, Robert Lewandowski has had multiple opportunities to be getting goals. He's played 15 games, which as you can see is like one of the most pretty much up there. He's also scored 4 goals, 2 assists for the guy. Not too bad, but from a 90 rated striker playing 15 games, you would expect more than 6 goal created chances, should I say, if that's correct. He's scored or assisted 6 in 15 games, so it's a bad outcome for him, but he has got a 69 average rating, so not the best but not the worst. He's still doing alright for them, I guess. Now we're going to check Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. So as we can see so far, it seems like Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang isn't getting the opportunities he needs, which could be saying a lot for who is the better player, because Lewandowski does play there for them, but apparently it looks like Dortmund don't like Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. He's played 3 games so far. Compare that to Lewandowski's 15. It's not looking good for the guy. He's not scored any, he's not assisted any, but he has got a 62 rating overall. So it could be better for the guy. We're just going to have to check and see how both teams, both players should I say, are doing in the Champions League. So as we can see in the Champions League, Borussia Dortmund's Lewandowski has played 6 games and only got 1 assist. So he's not been doing that good in the Champions League. He's not got any goals either, so he could be doing a lot better. Now we're going to check Aubameyang stats as well. Now on the upside for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, he's played 3 games in the Champions League and he's scored 2 goals. So he's actually a lot better in the Champions League, scoring 2 goals in 3 games. That is a good overall look for him so far. Much better than what he's doing in the league. So yeah, he probably should be getting more games for him with a goal scoring record like that for him. I'd be giving him more games, but we'll just have to see how it looks at the end of the season. Now for the last bit of information that we sometimes do on this series. I say sometimes, this is the 2nd episode and we've done it so far in both episodes, so it's kind of something that we're going to do. We're going to check the transfer history. Now I haven't checked this, as we can see. I'm just going to flick it to the most expensive, and that is a big transfer to start with. So as we can see, for 91 million euros, Atletico Madrid's Antoine Griezmann has gone to Manchester United in this career mode. That's pretty interesting. As we can see, for 73.5 million euros, we've got Arsenal's Ozil going to Barcelona. Now that is actually quite controversial, seeing as though we used to play for Real Madrid. An interesting transfer, a huge transfer just above that. Now this is quite interesting. We want to be checking both teams, and potentially this will tell us why maybe Aubameyang's not playing. But maybe it won't. As we can see, they have been signing both teams, I think, so far. Let's check. Yeah, so they've been selling and buying both teams. So as we can see, Jan Sommer has gone from Mönchengladbach to Bayern Munich for 38 million. So that explains maybe why they've been changing over the personnel and the team. So maybe that explains. I don't know. It doesn't really, but fingers crossed he gets more games. Also, Bayern Munich have sold Javi Martinez for 37.5 million. Dortmund have sold Socrates, their main centre-back, I would say, kind of main centre-back, to Juventus for 31.5 million. Oh my god, and then on top of that, Atletico Madrid's Jose Jimenez has gone to Bayern Munich for 30 mil. There's a lot of transfers going on here, guys. Then Bayern have signed up Pizzi as well from Benfica for 27 million. Any more interesting deals gone through from either of the 2 big German sides? Not that much, so we're kind of coming down to the smaller ones, but there's been quite a few big transfers apart from that, as we can see, all the way back up here. So both teams have definitely been doing business in the transfer window, but maybe we'll just have to see at the end of the season if anything else happens. So as we can see now, we're skipping through the rest of the transfer window that is left through halfway of the season. We're going to skip the next 17 games, see where we stand at the end of that. Hopefully all the games in the league have been played as well, and then the Champions League final hopefully has been played as well. So we'll double check that, we'll see where we stand, and I'll get back to you after we've simulated all of this. So as we can see, guys, we've finally simmed to the end of the season. No more games will be played after this. We've finished up on the 15th of June, as we can see on our screens now. We played the last game against Borussia Mönchengladbach, who were the league champions when we stopped halfway through the season. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to check the league season. Oh, and as we can see, we finished bottom of the league. Kind of expected when you're going to sim a whole season, but Darmstadt, any Darmstadt fans out there watching, I'm sorry guys, looks like we're going down. But we're going to check the top 2 teams, and whoa, jeez. As we can see, Bayern managed to come back and actually get up there to the top position by quite a landslide as well, if I might add. They won by, what is that? I think that's like, is that like 10 points they won by? Yeah, I think it is. So they won the league by 10 points overall, which is not bad going for the guys who were sitting in like 3rd position. Hertha Berlin managed to keep up their good form. Dortmund were only 2 points off them at the end of the season, so Dortmund had a very good end to the season as well. But the main point we're going to take away from this is that Bayern did win the league. So if we're comparing the 2 players, Bayern can still win the league when they don't have Lewandowski, but they do have a Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, that is. But we don't know what that means for Lewandowski. As we can see, we're going to check goals for and goals against. So as we can see, Bayern did not score that many goals. They only scored 25. Oh wait, no, sorry, that's goals against, my mistake. As we can see, they scored 57 goals, which is the highest in the league. And then Dortmund scored 51, so not too bad for them. But the main thing is that Bayern only conceded 25 goals, which is like the lowest in everybody in the league. So they've got a very strong defence, a very strong attack, and obviously they've done a fantastic season. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to actually check the top goal scorers and the top assisters in the league as well. So as we can see, Bittencourt, the guy who was sitting top, I think he scored 11 goals, had a kind of bad end to the second season. He only scored 4 more goals. So he had kind of a bad second half, but an amazing first half. And then obviously, as we can see at the top, Volland from Bayern 04 had a very, very good half to his second half, should I say. And then as we can see, the top 2 players coming in from each team is in 5th position, Andre Schürrle with 14 goals. Robben coming in at 6th position with 13 goals. Royce with 10 goals just below him. Have we got any more players? Lewandowski making it into 19th position. So this is kind of debatable. He got 8 goals. Muller coming in at 8 as well. The question is, does Aubameyang make it into the top goal scorers? It doesn't look like he will. He hasn't, guys. So that's kind of interesting. We now know that Lewandowski made it into at least 19th position, scoring 8 goals. But at the same time, Aubameyang did win the league with Bayern. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happened in the Champions League as well. We're going to check top assisters as well. Royce getting up there with 6 assists. Muller getting up there with another 6 assists. Any of the 2 players that we're looking for, can't see any just yet. That's Costa. Maybe none. Don't think there is any. So yeah, it looks like neither 2 players managed to get into the top assist makers. So now what we're going to go and do is check the Champions League and maybe any other competitions that either team could have won. So as we can see, the German kind of trophy that is all the German teams, I think it's called the DFB Pokal in real life. I'm not too sure, but that was won by Leverkusen overall. But they did in fact beat the team that actually managed to kick out Bayern Munich. For some reason I can't see Dortmund, so they must have got kicked out in an earlier round. But as we can see, Bayern Munich managed to get to the quarterfinals, but they were kicked out by the other team that they were against. So interesting stuff, but they did manage to get further than Dortmund. And now we come to the Champions League, and it's a devastating one for Bayern Munich. As we can see when we look at the beginning, Dortmund were 2-2 against Sevilla in the bottom corner, and I guess that Sevilla must have won on penalties because they did go through to the next round, that is. But as we can see, Bayern Munich beat Benfica 4-1. They then beat Napoli 2-1. Then in the semi-finals, they beat Sevilla, the team that beat Dortmund, 5-0. That's incredible. They got through to the final and Juventus won 1-0. So Juventus winning the Champions League, but Dortmund getting to the final. Not Dortmund, sorry, Bayern Munich getting to the final. So they've had a very, very good season. Final of the Champions League, winning the German Bundesliga. Now we're just going to check each individual player and see where they stand at the end of the season. Goals, overall, assists and rating. So first up we have Borussia Dortmund's Robert Lewandowski in the Bundesliga, playing 32 games and only scoring 8 goals and getting 3 assists. So he could have done a lot better than that in 32 games in the league, guys. He could have done tons better than that. But he did what he did, and as we can see, he got 8 goals, 3 assists. It seems like he did much better than Aubameyang did, but did Aubameyang get the appearances he needed to be making those goals? We'll go and check that now. As we can see, as suspected, he did not get the appearances he needed. He got 3 more appearances from the second half of the season. So basically, in the first half of the season, he got 3 games. The second half of the season, 3 games. He really did not get enough appearances, only playing 6 games, but he did in fact manage to get a goal in 6 games. So potentially that is actually better stats maybe than... No, I think it's actually worse stats than than Lewandowski's, but we will check the Champions League now to see if either player did good in that. First up, we do have Robert Lewandowski with 8 appearances in the Champions League, only getting 2 assists overall. I thought he would have done a bit better than that, but interesting stuff. We are going to go ahead and we're going to check Dortmund now. I did just say Dortmund, I did in fact mean to say Bayern Munich, but as we can see, Bayern Munich, he only got 4 appearances, but he did get 2 goals in those 4 appearances. So he basically got a goal every 2 games. Not too bad stats from the guy himself. We're going to check his overall rating. He stayed the same rating as we can see. He's 87 rated, 27 years old, not got older, still 27. So yeah, stayed the same. Now we're going to check Lewandowski and then finish up this episode. So as we can see, he has got a year older, Lewandowski. He's 28 years old now, but he stayed a 90 rated. He's had a somewhat good season, and now it's up to you guys to decide. Who do you personally think had the better season? Was it Robert Lewandowski? Was it actually Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang? You can vote. In the top corner there should be an I button. Be sure to press that and the options will come up for who you thought did better, Lewandowski or was it Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang? You decide up there, and then also get your comments down below for players that you would like to see swap clubs next episode in the club swap series that we are doing. And I'll be sure to read them and potentially pick one for next episode. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Get your comments down below. Be sure to like, subscribe, all the rest if you have enjoyed this. And I shall see you next time on the channel. I've been Drakesy. See you in a bit, guys.